Okay, so we're live. All right, hello everyone. Today we are looking at NPAT. This is NMIMS's exam for undergraduate courses. So they've released a sample paper. So we'll be doing an analysis. I suppose there's been some analysis done for the other sections. Today I'll be taking you through the verbal reasoning section. All right. So basically, there are three broad categories in which the verbal section is being played out, which is your vocabulary is one, two is grammar, and three is reading comprehension. Reading comprehension. There's one more. So basically, a lot of parajumble is also. So these two are in the critical thinking domain. All right. So these two are in the language skills part. And these two are more logic oriented. Critical thinking is what we like to call it. All right. So this is the broad classification. There are in the sample paper, we can see questions from all of these domains. Let's take a look. So I'll be solving the paper and helping you assess what kind of difficulty level to expect and things like that, at least from what we see from the sample paper. All right, let's take a look. 41, question number 1. So basically, let's take a look. Please pay the electricity bill dash time to avoid having your electricity supply cut off. So please pay the electricity bill. What is the expectation? The expectation is to pay the bill before your supply is cut off. So we have four options. This is a standard prepositions question, right? Inside time, no, doesn't really make sense. About time, no. On time is my pick. All right, so on time is the pick. To time doesn't really make sense. There is another possibility that could have been, which is in time, could have also made sense. Basically, meaning within time. On time is also something similar. In this case, you could have used both. All right, both would have been right. In this case, because in is not there, on is the only one present. On is the right answer. All right. Next up, just a moment. All right, next up. Birds get very frightened when paper balls are thrown. Dash them. With them, no, they're not getting angry when you're throwing it with them, right? By them, I'm sure they're not getting angry when they're the ones throwing it. In them, they're not empty sphere, so it's not like something can be thrown in them. That would be very dangerous. At them is the right answer. All right, so this is again a standard prepositions question that we see here. Two prepositions questions so far. So grammar is what we're seeing so far. Next, dash Buddhist beliefs and traditions. Gautam Buddha had been born as animals and humans in many previous births. So basically, what is the statement saying? The statement is saying that Buddhist beliefs and traditions say that Gautam Buddha was born as an animal and human in many previous births. That's what the statement is saying. So, from Buddhist beliefs, well, there's a way in which we can structure this sentence where this could be useful. From Buddhist beliefs and traditions, we can learn that Gautam Buddha had been born. That is one way of saying it, but that's not the way it is structured. So A is out. In the other way, besides Buddhist beliefs and traditions, that doesn't make sense, right? When I say besides Buddhist beliefs and traditions, it means aside from Buddhist beliefs and traditions. Whereas what we're looking at here is the fact that within Buddhist beliefs and traditions, they say, so it is the beliefs and traditions that say that Gautam Buddha was born as different animals and humans in the past. So besides is also incorrect. According to is the way we say it. According to is correct. In addition to makes no sense. In addition to Buddhist belief, somebody else also says it. That would have made sense. That's not what the statement is here. Therefore, C is my right answer according to Buddhist beliefs and traditions. Straightforward so far, right? Certain habits stay with you. That's one way of fitting it for life, all through life, right? That's what looks like. That's what they're trying to say. So, certain habits stay with you within life. No, incorrect. Across life, no. Beyond life, definitely not. Throughout life is the right way to say it. Through your entire life, some habits tend to stay with you. So throughout is the right answer. All right. So these were some of the grammar questions, mostly prepositions is what we saw, right? Now we enter into reading comprehension domain. Basically, now we're looking at um, some kind of critical reasoning, critical thinking, inference, drawing inferences, drawing conclusions from a piece of text that is given to us. Let's read. All right. Toru Dutt is considered the earliest Indian female writer in English. Okay. She traveled extensively in Europe from a young age with her family. She and her sister, Aru, became fascinated with Paris and French literature. In London, they came in contact with such august personages, very high and prolific people, such as Sir Bartle Frere, the governor of Bombay from 1862 to 1867, and Sir Edward Ryan, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, Calcutta, from 1837 to 1843. So, what do I understand so far? Toru is considered the first English female female English writer, basically, right? Not English female writer, female English writer. She traveled a lot, traveled across Europe and met important people. A short summary. Toru was greatly influenced in her writings by French romantic poets like Victor Hugo and English writers like Elizabeth Browning, John Keats, Charlotte Bronte, and Jane Austen. She was also intrigued by the legends and myths of India and even learned Sanskrit. Her writings were marked by romantic melancholia and an obsession, melancholia and sadness, and an obsession and preoccupation with death. This was partly due to her suffering and pain following the early tragic deaths of her siblings, especially her older sister Aru, with whom she was quite close. Okay, so what is the situation here? So starts with influence, influenced by French poets, French romantic poets, then also English writers, also English writers. She was also intrigued by Indian legends. So a lot of local influence as well. Indian legends. And learn Sanskrit. Her writings were marked. But what kind of writing basically? Type, style. We have to say style is basically what? Melancholia, romantic sadness, melancholia, and obsession with death. And death is also a favorite topic of hers. All right. Reason being, partly because she suffered and struggled with the passing of her siblings, especially her older sister. Let's go forward. Her chosen subjects often portrayed separation, loneliness, captivity, dejection, declining seasons, and untimely death. This is a continuation of uh, style, basically, what kind of writing she did. Okay. She led an ivory tower existence, and ivory tower existence meaning she lived basically away from, so she was kind of sort of say well-to-do, rich, all right, and her own death came quite early at the age of 21 in the full bloom of her talent and on the eve of the awakening of her genius, meaning she did not even she 21 is really early to die, right? So at the age of 21 when she passed away, and she hadn't even touched the peak of her genius. So she was just starting. All right. Toru Dutt's famous work is a sheaf gleaned in French fields, an anthology of poems. This is the name of the book. It is a series of poems, an anthology of poems translated from French to English. These are translations. Okay, not maybe not her original work. It also contained a few original poems, so it's definitely translated uh, and has a few original works as well that showcase her vast insight into French literature. She used to publish poems in the Bengal magazine under the pseudonym TD. Okay, she used to publish some poems of hers in the Bengal magazine under the pseudonym TD. But most of her powerful work was published posthumously after her death, including French novel Les Journaux de Mademoiselle de Havre and the unfinished English novel Bianca, or The Young Spanish Maiden. Her work, Ancient Ballads and Legends of Hindustan, depicts shrewd knowledge of Hindu mythology and an instinctive empathy with the conditions of life they represent. She had a lot of empathy for the people around her as well. So this is all going into her work, her her body of work is what this whole paragraph is talking about. Where she printed, what were her inspirations, what all she wrote. All right. An assimilation of the Occident and the Orient nourished Toru's poetic skills. In her, we find a tripartite influence of a French education, lectures at Cambridge, and the study of literature, Sanskrit literature. So tripartite meaning three-pronged influence, okay? Influence from three places. Just the French education, lectures at Cambridge, and the study of Sanskrit literature. These three things combined to make her very prolific. All right. Let's take a look at the questions. Toru Dutt is an unsung genius in the world of Indian English literature. Okay, if this is the statement that is told, all right, which of the following option most supports the above statement? So I need to now find within the options a option which supports this. Sort of like, say somebody's made this argument, read the RC, then makes this argument. What additional thing can we say to make that argument stronger? Okay, let's see. Option A, Toru Dutt died tragically young on the eve of the awakening of her talent. When she died is doesn't really contribute to her genius, right? So A is out. Toru Dutt belonged to the illustrious Dutt family, many of who gained renown as writers. Fair enough, but doesn't really, again, add to the genius. I mean, she could belong to a great family, not be genius herself. That's possible. See, Toru Dutt often wrote about separation, loneliness, dejection, and other melancholic subjects in her works. The topic doesn't really contribute to her genius. Toru Dutt wrote works in French and English and also translated from Sanskrit, all in a short life of 21 years. This looks good. Because what is it saying? It's saying in a short life of 21 years, she managed to write works in French and English and also translate from Sanskrit. That is a reflection of genius, right? Let me look at E as well. Toru that traveled extensively in Europe, including cities like traveling doesn't again necessarily have to translate into genius. Therefore, option D, option D is the right option. Next, according to the passage, which of the following is not true? So we probably are looking at some details from the passage. Let's take a look. Toru Dutt was a romantic at heart and was influenced by romantic writers like Hugo, Bront, and Keats. That's true. We saw that, right? It's mentioned. So is okay. So A, we are looking at not true, right? So A is definitely not my answer. Her works on Hindu mythology show Toru Dutt's instinctive sympathy with the people of her home country. It's mentioned, right? We can see here she had an instinctive empathy with the people. She wrote in the local language as well, and worked a lot on Hindu mythology. So this also ruled out. The tragic death of her siblings is partly responsible for the strain of melancholia we find in Toru Dutt's writing. Again, mentioned something that is mentioned, so irrelevant, not my answer here. Toru Dutt was influenced by the literature of the Occident as well as the Orient, and this was reflected in her writings. This is also true, right? Like the last statement that we see, last paragraph that we see, an assimilation, mixing of Occident and the Orient nourished Toru's poetic skills. So therefore, clearly D is also evident from the paragraph. Number E. Toru Dutt was fascinated by European traditions and literature and considered them above the indigenous literatures of India. Considered them above the indigenous literatures of India is clearly wrong, because at no point were we told that she felt that English and French was superior. While she was fascinated by them, she was also quite fascinated by Sanskrit. She learned quite a bit of it, did quite a lot of work on that as well. So this part is incorrect. Therefore, this is my answer. This is not true according to the passage. This is a question where we look at the detail of the details that is given in the RC. Let's take a look at the next question. Toru Dutt can be considered a cosmopolitan of the 19th century. Cosmopolitan, what does a cosmopolitan mean? Somebody who's influenced, in this case, is an individual who's influenced by a lot of places, a lot of experiences. Right? That is what would make somebody a cosmopolitan. All right, so let's take a look. Which of the following options most supports? This is very similar to the first question that we saw, right? Most supports the above statement. I need to find a statement that adds to this, makes this more robust. Okay. Toru Dutt traveled extensively in Europe and spent considerable time in the cities of Paris and London. Okay, maybe I'll just keep this option open for now, because she seems to have traveled. Okay, so travel could add to your cosmopolitan nature. I'll just keep it open. B. Toru Dutt used to publish poems written in English in the Bengal magazine under the pseudonym TD. So what if she wrote it under a pseudonym or published poems in English? That doesn't necessarily make her cosmopolitan. Toru Dutt translated the works of French romantic poets into English for the enjoyment of the Indian public. Not strong enough. None of these, are really strong enough. She translated, that doesn't really make it cosmopolitan as a whole. Toru Dutt was accomplished in Sanskrit literature and wrote ancient ballads and legends of Hindustan based on this. Again, somebody could do this and still not be considered cosmopolitan. Let's take a look at E. Toru Dutt was influenced by French education, lectures at Cambridge, England, and the study of Sanskrit literature, and was well versed in all three languages. That's what makes you cosmopolitan. The addition of all three elements, three different languages, three different cultures influencing you. That's what makes you a cosmopolitan individual. Next question. Which of the following is implied in the passage? Implied as in it is not really explicitly said, but is said. So I have to read between the lines. Okay. Toru Dutt wanted to return to Europe to further her knowledge of English and French literature. There is no insinuation at any point that she wanted to return to Europe. So her travel plans were not mentioned. Okay. Toru Dutt contemplated suicide after the untimely death of her sister. This again clearly not mentioned anywhere. Out. Toru Dutt wanted to publish a French novel and gain popularity in European literary circles. Okay. Not really, right? We are not really sure if this is the situation that they wanted to gain popularity. I don't know. Torudat was conscious of the suffering of her compatriots under the British Raj and published her views under the pseudonym TD. Not really. We don't know why she published under the pseudonym, right? This is giving a reason which is not really mentioned. Okay. Torudat felt isolated from contemporary Indian women, especially after the death of her sister, because of her keen interest in European culture. This is mentioned. We can infer this, all right, from the passage. So E. So these are the kind of questions you can expect: inference based, assumption based, and detail based as well. As we saw earlier, this was a very detail based question. We just simply look at what kind of details is given. Moving on. Now we come to para jumble. Basically, we have to arrange the sentences in a way that makes sense, basically. All right. It all began during high school. It all began. I don't know what it all began means at this point. So I know that A is not starting. All right. During high school, when Aisha moved to a hostel. So somebody's moved to a hostel and something's begun at that point. Okay. She was grateful that she had the support of her family to help her through this difficult time. Again, what exactly is happening? We are not really sure what is going on. So far A and B are not my opening sentences. What is going on here is that Aisha was grateful that she had the support of her family during a difficult time. What exactly is that nature of that time? We don't know yet. See, neither Aisha nor her parents expected that her life would take such an unfortunate turn. This makes a lot of sense. To start, this is a possible starter. This could start very well, right? Neither Aisha nor her parents expected that her life would take such an unfortunate. It's a very broad statement. You can put it right at the beginning. Great. Not long after this. Therefore, C is my starter for sure. So C is where I'll start. Not long after this, Aisha was diagnosed with blood cancer. So she had to leave school and focus on her treatment. So after C, what should I come up with? It all began during high school. First, I mentioned that nobody expected that her life would take such an unfortunate turn. Then I mentioned when it started. Then I come to what really happened and what is the situation. So C, A, D, then B. Is there an option there? C. Right? See, neither Aisha nor her parents expected that her life would take such an unfortunate turn. It all started during high school when Aisha moved to a hostel. Not long after this, meaning moving to hostel, Aisha was diagnosed with blood cancer, so she had to leave school and focus on her treatment. She was grateful for the support that she had. That is my order. C, A, D, B. All right. Next question. According to archaeologists, Machu Picchu was an estate built for Pachacuti, the emperor of the Inca kingdom. Okay. So according to archaeologists, Machu Picchu ka, we see a definition, sort of definition here. All right. In 2007, it also got included. Key point to note, not going to be a starting statement. Also got included as one of the 7 wonders of the world. All right. So some additional information about Machu Picchu, it meaning Machu Picchu, right? At this point. See, Machu Picchu is a citadel situated on a 7,970 feet mountain ridge in southern Peru. Okay, so from here, I know this is the possible starting point. Why? Straight up definition. Machu Picchu is what? Then I go to what archaeologists think, right? So before this, I have to start with this. So C is where I'll start. It was declared a UNESCO, therefore it meaning the again Machu Picchu. So therefore D cannot start. So therefore definitely C has to start. Machu Picchu is a citadel situated. Okay, what it is, I am done. Then what do archaeologists think? It is what, then going to what do archaeologists think, giving more description, right? So further description is given in A. Now between B and D, you may be a little confused at this point, also helps. First, it was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1983. The other thing that helps is the chronology. Often we follow this chronological structure. If we are in a situation where a year before is mentioned, then we'll take that, right? So 1983 is what first. That is one thing that's guiding me in this order between B and D. So I know that D comes and then B comes next. Or the other thing is also. It also included. So these two accolades are arranged in that order. All right. So where is my answer? C, A, D, B. It's D. All right. Next question. Now we have the same question, but little more difficult because we have 5 statements to arrange now. Okay. From the advent of cell phones in the 1980s to this day, mobile technology has improved drastically. There's been a drastic improvement in mobile tech from 1980s to this day. Pay close attention to this. In this era of technology and digitization, diverse ideas are coming together to make things much easier for human beings. This either looks like a opening statement or closing. I'll keep my option open now. Among the various breakthroughs in IT in the last few years, okay, robotics and artificial intelligence top the list. D. Computer, video game, and television technologies have also gone through major changes in recent years. Another key part, also gone through major changes in recent years. With every passing year, massive advancements in technology take place, affecting our lives in many ways. What is this statement saying? Every year, we see a lot of tech advancement, and it is shaping our lives in different ways. Look at what A, C, and D are doing. They're saying the same thing. They're saying the same thing. Advent of cell phones in 1980s to this day completely transformed us. Then last few years, robotics and AI breakthroughs in IT, and then coming to video games. So, but if you notice, they're all individual. Video game, computers, IT, phones. B is talking about how diverse ideas are coming together. So it's not an opening statement, it is a closing statement. E is my opening statement. Advancements in technology, how they've changed, and then I'll come to how diversity is coming together and shaping our lives. Right. So E is my starting point. If E is my starting point, what's next? The crucial thing here is to identify E, and I know the last part. Okay. So I know that I am ending it with a B. Those are the two things I know. Basically, now I need to fill the 3 remaining slots. What's crucial is understanding between A, C, and D, right? Which do I slot where? Again, we'll follow the chronology. 1980s to this day. 1980s, way back. So I'll go with A first. Mobile technology has improved drastically. Next, last few years. So C comes next. And then finally, recent years. So D comes. And between C and D, I also have this also to tell me that definitely D is coming last, right? So EACDB is in option D. That is the correct option. All right. So that's how we do this. Okay, similar question, 5 statements. Let's take a look. Rock salt helps in the absorption of minerals in the body, aids digestion, soothes heartburn, stabilizes blood pressure, and cures rheumatic pain. This can be a good starting point, right? Possibly. Okay, there are many benefits and uses of rock salt, but what actually is it? Again, this could also be one. Rock salt found in the Himalayan region is given the name Himalayan crystal salt. Another possible way to start. It is good for the hair and skin as well. So D is not starting, owing to its detoxifying, exfoliating, and cleansing properties. Okay. E. Formed from sodium chloride, rock salt is a mineral that appears as a result of salt water evaporation from large water bodies. Okay. There is a clear question here. There are many benefits and uses of rock salt, but what actually is it? What is it is given in E. So B and E form a pair. Formed from sodium chloride, rock salt is a mineral that appears. Okay. B and E is a pair. What else is a pair? A and D. A and D are talking about what? A and D are talking about the benefits. So if you look at the nature of this, right? So if I know that B and E is this pair, A and D is the other pair, which is talking about the benefits of rock salt. Okay, now I know that they're talking about the benefits. So I go from, if I look at the nature of the flow of this, going from benefits of something to what is it, to then defining it. If that is the way, then I'll have to go from AD, then comes BE, and finally ending with C, right? Rock salt rock salt helps it in the absorption of minerals in the body, aids digestion, soothes heartburn. It is good for the hair and skin as well, owing to XYZ reasons. There are many benefits. Now that we've seen the benefits, there are many benefits and uses of rock salt, but what really is it? Formed from sodium chloride, rock salt is a mineral XYZ as a result of saltwater evaporation from large water bodies. Rock salt found in the Himalayan region is given the name Himalayan crystal salt. Okay, before we get to Himalayan crystal salt, we have to cover what rock salt is basically. Then we get to a bit more specific. Again, remembering that general to specific is the principle that we follow for most questions. All right, moving on. Okay, now we have, this is a standard vocabulary question. Basically, it's a vocabulary question given to you in the form of a paragraph. You've been given a paragraph and certain points have been removed, and you just need to slot the right word for it to make sense. Let's take a look. In light of the recent happenings, the nation is again dash in a debate on capital punishment. One of the things that you can do in a question like this, for most statements, once you get the hint of what really is the statement trying to say, you can slot in a word that would mean something, right? So this is what I would do. In the light of the recent happenings, the nation is again dash in a debate on capital punishment, therefore engaged. Does that make sense? Looks like it, right? So engaged in a debate on capital punishment, everybody's come together, or we're all fighting it out. Considerable opposition to capital punishment has come from legal scholarship quarters. So a lot of opposition has come for it. It views the use of capital punishment as dash, as it uses hate to fight hate. Now, one of the ways I can slot this is the first instance that comes to me without reading this part. I can think barbaric is one way to write it, very evil, barbaric, something like that. But look at the nature of the sentence following it: hate against hate. So it's almost like a hypocrisy. Hypocritical, right? Somebody is hypocritical. They're using hate to fight hate, makes no sense, right? People who support capital punishment, it argues, have failed to make a dash between justice and revenge. Separation between justice and revenge. So can I say just this is like separation between justice and revenge? Sorry. Separation between justice and revenge, thereby normalizing crime. It says research studies have clearly shown that capital punishment does not act as a dash to violent crimes. If you know a little bit about capital punishment, you would know that it is used as a deterrent for you to stop violent crime. That's the reason that is given. It's not really vengeance, that is the reason. So they want to stop violent crime, hence the punishment is administered, right, or adjudicated. Now, so once I know that, then I can see that 4 has to be deterrence. Deter, stop. That it doesn't stop people from committing crime is what the research is showing. Now let's take a look at the questions. Question number 1. Engaged is what I figured. Tuned, no. Between all of these words, tuned, ridden, no. They're in riveted. Riveted would be to be really involved, but not be there in person, present, not be almost like viewing it from outside, right? So this one is out, tuned is out, ridden is out, bounded, no, embroiled, engaged, embroiled. They are embroiled in a debate. Question number 2, what was I looking at? I was looking at hypocrisy, something hypocritical. Redolent has got to do with aroma, totally out of scope. Confined, no. Pretentious, no. Pretentious, not really. Hypocritical is the word that I was looking for, makes complete sense. Conventional, no. All right. Number 3, separation is what we were looking for, right? Separation between justice and revenge. Distinction, perfect. Distinction, create a distinction between revenge and justice. Brilliant. Dissimilarity, no. Comparison, no. Prioritization, reconciliation, doesn't make sense. Number 4, what were we looking at? Number 4 is deterrence, to something that prevents. Conduit is like a passage, somebody who creates a passage. No, absolutely not. Deterrent is the exact word that I'm looking for. Precedent, no. Proposition, no. Detachment, no. So deterrent is my answer. This is a thing that you can do. You can slot it with words that then make sense in the paragraph, and then you can check, find synonyms in the questions that are given. 57. So now we're back. This is sentence correction. So error, identifying the errors, grammatical errors in the sentence. Most of the time you'll find there are grammatical errors. Let's quickly run through them. 57. The incident left, okay, her with a fractured leg. Sentence looks good so far. With great efforts, she has started to walk again. Great effort, it should be, not efforts. We cannot count this. It's not a countable metric. Therefore, it has to be with great effort. She has started to walk again. Therefore, C, efforts, where the problem is, C is what we'll mark as our answer. 58. A discount of 25% were given. A discount, right? So singular has to therefore here be was. So B is our answer. We're only looking at one mistake. So thankfully, we don't have to then go through the whole thing. But we should ideally, just to make sure that our answer is perfect, given to customers purchasing clay lamps during the festival life, all lights, all looks good. Okay. T9. The area I live in is one of, okay, the many safe places. Great. One of the many. That gives no one from many, right? So we're still in the singular. This should have been give. That give. One that give freedom to women to walk around even at night. So therefore, my answer would be gives, would be C. The last one, there are many harmful effects. Straight away, effects is wrong. It should be effects. All right, effects is always a problem. Read upon it. Of consuming junk food regularly, eating nutritious food is key to healthy living. Therefore, A is my answer. All right, so that's it for today. Thank you so much for sticking around. Stick to the channel to find more informational videos that will help you with your prep. Goodbye. Yeah. Hello.